Your wish is my command.
In a world with constant war between humans and witches, Adonis, our protagonist, finds himself amidst it all. After being betrayed by humans at a young age, Adonis quickly learns to hate them while under his master's guidance. As the only recorded human able to use a witch's magic, Adonis finds himself in the middle of this war being hunted by both sides. Episode 1, Welcome to Kingdom of Ruin, where in this world God created humanity. Then he gave all the witches the magical power. Adonis, a male witch wannabe, complains to the senior witch to cool him down with her magic. Adonis pulls out his phone and shows the witch his map, hoping to guide them in the right direction. He then tells her he wants to continue studying magic under her instead of going to school. He shows his hatred towards humans and wishes to eliminate them all for making his efforts at a harem with the witches more difficult. They are confronted by soldiers, and the witch is introduced as Chloe. Chloe summons her stick in preparation to attack and protect Adonis. Chloe uses her magic to easily wipe out the randos, and a grunt reports to the king that they were unable to deal with the witch. The king calls Chloe a bad witch and wishes that she would stop causing him and his kingdom so many problems. Adonis questions Chloe on why he can't show off and deal with the grunts himself, hoping to earn some points with her. He blames his incompetence on his race. Him being human, he believes Chloe thinks he's weak. He conveys his feelings of wanting to protect Chloe, her being the one who took him in and actually showed him love. Chloe and Adonis are then caught off guard and end up in a trap, to which they are teleported to the central plaza. The king delivers a speech to the people and talks about how they used to rely on witches, but they are in a new era. He blames the witches for making them live in fear of them, when in reality he's jealous of the power they hold. He tells all of humanity, it's time to eradicate the witches and start a new era of humanity. Adonis tries to be a hero. However, he is put down immediately by the grunts. Chloe threatens the emperor and prepares an attack that will kill them all if they don't let Adonis go. Before Chloe can release her magic, it is shattered to pieces by the new technology the king has built, and he confronts her face to face. He slaps her across the face and puts her down, hoping to show that he's not someone she can reason with. Adonis makes another pointless attempt at saving her and worsens the situation for Chloe. As Chloe begs the king to spare Adonis, she tells the king he is a worthless human boy she kidnapped. The king listens to her request but doesn't seem to buy it. Adonis once again attempts to cast a spell but is stopped by the sight of Chloe being stripped down and having a gun pointed at her head by the king. Adonis watches as the king executes the only person he has ever loved, and he starts crying like a baby. He remembers all of the good memories he had with her until he eventually sees her body shot and cut to shreds. Before we continue, let's take a moment to answer the question of the day. If your lover and mentor was degraded, like how Adonis was, would you vow to kill all of humanity as revenge? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Now back to the recap. The king flexes that he killed the witch, and everyone immediately whips out their phone and starts taking pictures. We transition to a prison where a girl offers one of her inmates bread, and it is snatched up ungratefully. The two girls talk in prison about the war against the witches, until the pink-haired girl reassures her that they will be okay. She is interrupted by the guards calling for a number indicating a certain prisoner, so Doroka, the pink-haired girl, switches her name tag with the other girl. Having the name tag number the guards were calling for, she is then brought to a room with a fat guy who appears to be the warden. He recognizes her beauty and she is told to strip so he can get a better look at her. She bites the fat warden's finger in an attempt to escape, stealing his phone in the process. She attempts to use the phone, but is unable to because of a voice-locked code. Somehow she imitates the warden perfectly, which unlocks all the prison cells, and it causes a riot. Amidst the confusion, she enters a room with a person concealed inside and unlocks the final door, his door, before getting slapped to the ground. Episode 2. Filled with rage, the unknown man inside of the coffin breaks out with ease. The guards are shaken by his name alone and are scared to try and restrain him. We learn it's Adonis, and he kills all the guards who built up the courage to try and restrain him. Doroka, the pink-haired witch, is shaken by Adonis's bloodthirsty nature and begs for him to not kill her. She falls down dramatically in fear, but to her surprise, Adonis shoots her cuffs, thus freeing her. The prison guards report the situation to one another, and they scramble around attempting to get the prison in check. A new character appears and is granted access to restrain the prisoners with a Class 5 weapon. Once this man leaves, the workers gossip about him, but are forced to accept his rudeness because of his strength. The fat warden looks at the weapon storage and is shaken to learn that Adonis's feather is missing. Adonis resolves himself to kill every citizen in the empire as his revenge for taking his lover away from him. Doroka seems to have escaped the prison around, but is unsure what to do. Adonis remembers Chloe vividly, and we learn that 10 years have passed since she was killed in front of him. Adonis then wreaks havoc again on the citizens, this time by summoning a giant to do the work for him. The policeman is in disbelief of what is going on as he witnesses the giant kill thousands of people before him. Adonis realizes that killing the worthless citizens is too easy, so heads toward the royal capital to kill the emperor. Members of the empire learn that Adonis is the one that is powering the giant, so they decide to unravel the magic block from 10 years ago in an attempt to stop Adonis. Adonis continues to not care of his surroundings, and he kills everything in his sight. Army personnel attempt to shoot down the giant with some heavy artillery, but end up having their shells redirected at the buildings, killing their own civilians. The narrator tells us that through the entrapment, Adonis has reached a new level of strength, one capable of changing the will of the world like how Chloe was able to do, with written magic being the only magic he is able to use. Over the years, Adonis has mastered the style. The enraged Adonis uses his written magic to create machine guns, hoping to kill even more innocent civilians. He continues to kill, but eventually breaks down into tears, not being fulfilled after taking his revenge. Having determined his location on the giant, the Empire launches air missiles aimed directly towards Adonis in the palm of the giant's hand. Seeing his life flash before his eyes, a boy caught in the crossfire is saved by Doroka. Doroka tells herself she'll stop Adonis, but is unsure of how to do so. We transition to the Emperor's wife, watching over the Emperor while he battles a life-threatening illness. The king looks very sick and realizes his life and empire are coming to an end shortly. The Emperor regrets his actions towards the witches, realizing his illness is God punishing him for the slaughter he caused. Adonis continues to massacre the Empire's army, while the king tells a story, eventually taking his last breath. Doroka screams out to Adonis, asking him to stop right before he's able to take another life. He clearly isn't impressed by her advances, and he kills the man before him and approaches her. She attempts to cool him down, and he grabs her shirt and shouts at her. She reveals she is also a witch, and this angers him even more, questioning her existence as to how she's alive. She tells him she ran desperately from the fight, knowing she wouldn't have been of use. In an attempt to get Adonis to spare her life, she alerts him. Her plan is to revive Chloe. Unimpressed, he points his blade at Doroka, claiming it's impossible to bring back the dead. Eventually it hits him, and Adonis realizes there's nothing more that he wants than to bring Chloe back to life. He eventually believes her and gets on his knees to beg her to bring Chloe back to life. Right before Adonis is able to take her hand and join her, she is sniped from behind, ending her short-lived life. Episode 3. Before she died, Doroka has a flashback of her seeing everyone in her village killed by humans. During the war between witches and humanity, Doroka was a small girl, so she wasn't able to help during the fight. Scared and unsure what to do, Doroka is reassured by her friend Mia, who tells her they are unable to use magic in the presence of the human machine. She urges Doroka to tell Madame Ophelia of the situation to hopefully have her find a solution. Mia tells Doroka the location of Madame Ophelia and attempts to cheer her up, knowing it will be the last time they meet. Doroka runs without looking back, and Mia is killed behind her after giving Doroka the courage she needed. Going back to the present, Adonis holds Doroka on the urge of death and hopes to get the method on how to revive Chloe. Doroka is finished off after giving Adonis words of hope, but no real answer to his question. Sure of their victory, the guards announce their win, until Adonis shields himself with a magic barrier, reversing their attacks back to them. The special soldier that killed Doroka aims down his sights and fires his sniper at Adonis, hoping to get another kill. To his surprise, the soldier gets his attack blocked and reversed back to him. Not only did Adonis send it back, but he also enlarged the bullet and sped it up, which killed him instantly. Despite the tense situation, Adonis walks through the battlefield unscathed, still claiming he will kill all of humanity as revenge. The Empire finally seems to have a way to stop him, readying the DAM. The DAM is the magic suppressor that stopped the witches in the past and guided humanity to victory. The head scientist warns Yuki, the pink-haired girl, that it might not work as they wish and to proceed with caution. She tells him they are unable to activate the DAM because of particles released by the machine that are harmful to humans. The scientist reveals that they will kill a large majority of the Empire if they decide to use the device. Learning that the DAM is toxic, we can deduce the Emperor's illness is because of the particle emitted from the magic machine. The group watches as Adonis continues to kill all the soldiers trying to restrain him. Yuki, hoping to make her brother happy, decides to activate the machine anyway without second thought of the side effects that come along with it. Having activated the machine for a moment, the Empire is able to deactivate Adonis's magic for a just second. Before the machine causes too much harm to the Empire, the head scientist stops it. Having gone too close to the machine, the head scientist and Yuki are severely injured from the side effects. Adonis is approached by a soldier during this small gap and is beheaded, being unable to use his magic. The soldier walks back with his head in hand, revealing the Empire's victory. The Empire, having won the battle, celebrates and helps the citizens rebuild the broken buildings. While everyone is helping each other out, the Empire's head general watches, thinking something might be up. The king's speech is heard echoing throughout the kingdom, giving anyone who lost a family member hope, thus resolving the Empire's strength. His speech is put onto YouTube, but is paused by a girl named Eri, who appears bored in class, hoping to leave early. Yue, a fellow classmate of Eri, approaches her and confronts her about something she did. The girl calls out Eri, saying what she did is inhuman, and she is disgusting. Eri eventually gets out of school and visits the grave of Takuma, a fallen classmate. She remembers her leaving him under a piece of rubble and running for her life instead of helping him escape. After paying her respects, she scrolls through pictures of Adonis and fantasizes about him. Eventually, she is forced to stop when she is approached by a government official telling her it's risky to have the pictures she has. The man is introduced as Oz, who tells her he won't snitch on her for what he saw. Eri still shook from being caught by the man who runs away, thinking he is a nice guy. However, Oz calls for her to be seized anyways, showing he's not as nice as he lets on. As if we haven't switched main characters enough, we follow Oz's life now. Oz is told to come back to their station by some nerd girl who commands a mountain of computers. She reveals that Adonis's body is in fact a fake, and he is still alive and out there somewhere. Episode 4. Adonis is seen screaming with pain from whatever the witches are doing to him. To ease the tension, a mysterious person approaches and introduces herself as Madame Ophelia. She eases his pain by transmitting past memories of Chloe through his mind, making him feel at ease. Still in agony, he clenches his teeth and shouts out Chloe's name. The soldier that supposedly killed him reveals herself as Anna tells him she saved him. The witches tell Adonis everything has all been a part of their plan to resurrect Chloe. Ophelia uses her magic and wraps Adonis into a ball, sending him to a new location. As he wakes up unsure of his current situation, but he remembers everything that has happened thus far, and is surprised when he is thanked by Ophelia. Adonis realizes he is in the kingdom of witches and starts to feel more at ease. Adonis is then approached by two maids who tell him they are happy he has recovered. As Adonis talks to more people, he realizes everyone seems to love Chloe in this kingdom and treat her like a god. Adonis is then directed to a field of flowers where Ophelia stands awaiting him. Adonis questions what Ophelia did to him while he was asleep. Instead of answering his question, everyone starts to talk about Chloe and her feats. We learn that Madame Ophelia casted Chloe out of the witch kingdom because she decided to teach a human child the witch's magic. Ophelia tells him that magic is a power bestowed by God to witches and doesn't belong in the hands of humans. Once noticing Madame Ophelia in possession of the quill bestowed upon him by Chloe, he rushes towards her. He recovers his magic item and thanks Madame Ophelia for giving it back without much hassle. Adonis asks Madame Ophelia if it's really possible to resurrect Chloe, and she assures him witches don't lie. He looks up and sees outer space. Bamboozled by this, he asks Ophelia where he is, to which she explains that they are on the planet Lumania. Standing on the moon, Adonis gazes at Earth until Ophelia interrupts him and tells a story. She tells Adonis that the witches had to relocate where they lived because of the humans. While telling this story, she is seen looking back at a field filled with graves of fallen witches. Ophelia talks about her love for her kingdom a bit until she eventually walks away. Adonis is led to Mito, a tree that produces all of the witches ever born. Ophelia reveals that witches are unisex and are born as fruits of God and do not have mating patterns. He looks at the tree that produces witches and imagines Chloe inside of one of the fruits. Ophelia explains to Adonis that magic is a part of the world that correlates directly to the thoughts of the caster. She tells Adonis that with his written magic, he has the power to seal his memories inside of a witch's fruit. Doing so will result in resurrecting Chloe after giving the newly born witch her past memories. Anna approaches Adonis and is furious at Doroka's death, blaming him for it all. He ignores her and walks towards the tree while she continues shouting at him for being so selfish to only want to resurrect Chloe. He counters her claim by saying the only reason they got themselves into this situation and why Doroka died is because they wanted to use his powers to revive Chloe. Adonis realizes that the reason they are in such a secluded spot is so that they can kidnap humans and teach them written magic like Adonis. It is revealed that the reason they wish to revive Chloe is so that they can utilize her power and make the quills like what she made for Adonis. The witches then plan to teach the humans they kidnap written magic so that they can fight for the witches' kingdom. Adonis calls out their plans to Anna, and her expression tells him he's right. Knowing that he might leave, Anna begs Adonis to revive Chloe, and he tells her that he will follow Chloe's will to the end. He closes his statement by telling the witches if he has to, he will declare war on the witches if Chloe wishes. Ophelia agrees to his demands, thus starting the ceremony to resurrect Chloe, so the witches begin their spell. Amidst this, Adonis uses his written magic to implement memories into the unborn witch. During this, Adonis has a flashback of Chloe, explaining the constellations to Adonis, to which she is surprised by his memory skills. Adonis remembers more memories of her life, him being tasked with cleaning up her clothes. During this, he gets a glimpse of her bruised skin and is embarrassed when caught. She thanks Adonis for being with her through all the challenges, which shows a vulnerable side of the ever-so-perfect Chloe. Adonis appears to have finished his spell, but everyone is stunned when Doroka's body emerges from the fruit instead of Chloe's. Episode 5. Adonis apologizes to Chloe's spirit, saying he doesn't wish to make her suffer again and wants her to rest in peace. Ophelia realizes what Adonis has done and questions what his plan is going forward. Doroka emerges from the sky, and Adonis catches her like a knight in shining armor. Confused by this all, Doroka asks how she is alive and in the witches' nation when she thought she died. Eventually, she gets up embarrassed after realizing she is being held naked in his arms. Adonis tells her to shut up as he gets ready to face Ophelia. Ophelia shames him for bringing back Doroka instead of Chloe, as if they can't do the ritual again. Ophelia questions why Adonis brought Doroka back instead of Chloe when he loved her. Adonis doesn't hold back with his response, telling Madame Ophelia he did it on purpose. A light appears near all of the witches, and startling them in the process. Adonis pulls out a chip embedded in his shoulder and tells Ophelia and the witches he will hunt down the humans himself. To show his seriousness, Adonis emits a powerful explosion, destroying the Meadow tree and any chance at resurrection. A soldier approaches Adonis, and the witches announcing himself as a director from the kingdom of Radon. He claims to the witches that he has arrived to finish their fight once and for all. Some random witch attempts to put out the fire, but is beheaded instantly by the soldier. Santa Maria, one of the witches, casts a spell armoring all of the witches, and Ophelia preparing them for battle. Adonis starts the battle, rushing towards the humans, but is cut by the director. However, Adonis is fast enough to cast a spell giving him control of his gun. He proceeds to shoot the director multiple times and calls him weak while doing so. Doroka grabs his back with teary eyes, pleading for him to stop his attack. The rest of the witches cast their spells and take out the remaining soldiers. Ophelia uses her magic, natural law magic, to lift up more soldiers than what seemed to arrive, putting thousands of them in a big ball. She finishes her move by crushing them all to death. She compares humans to infants, but is stopped by more soldiers arriving and taking out 3 of the witches. The head scientist is seen in a medical contraption while being questioned by a government official, asking how the witches were able to survive for so long. She explains that they used a spaceship to capture witches, but it had been recaptured by the witches not long ago. The government officials yell at her for letting the witches get by, unnoticed, questioning what she has been doing. Some savage-looking guy tells them he is happy to get to hunt witches again, and he tells the other fat government officials to shut up. The general that was in charge of killing Adonis looks at Yuki, his sister's body sadly regretting that he sent her to handle the DIM on her own. Having not been blamed for others' mistakes enough, the general takes his anger out on the scientist for allowing this to happen to her. We go back to him on the battlefield, and he is seen attempting to fulfill his revenge on Adonis. Adonis points the gun he stole back at him, but is interrupted by a high-speed sucker punch to the face. Doroka runs to his side, but is interrupted by Adonis telling her to prepare for battle with the general. The general resolves himself, hoping to be able to see his sister once the battle is over. He tells himself he will take care of her better than he has after he kills Adonis. The general uses his anti-magic sword, killing half the witches in an instant, making all hope seem lost. This strike not only hit the side characters, but it also cut Doroka in half. To our surprise, it is revealed that the body was a duplicate, and she is safe. Anna assures Doroka everything will be okay, but she is cut in half, leaving Doroka alone once again. With the battle seeming to be over, Doroka holds Anna's body and cries out in agony. Adonis and the general are the only ones left on the battlefield, and they prepare for the final exchange. Adonis rushes at him filled with passion and uses his magic, eventually overpowering the general's sword, crushing his ribs. Adonis calls out the general for relying on science to carry him in battle. Yamato the general says his magic is the same, Adonis having to rely on the witch's power rather than his own. The few remaining witches appear to have given up, but one of them attempts to encourage the others, but it ends abruptly when she is shot in the back of her head. Going back to the main fight, Adonis is stabbed by Yamato and has to back up. He sends a huge blade at Yamato, cutting his arms off his body. Yamato prepares to finish the battle and swings his sword in the air, hoping to unleash one last wave of energy blasts. Right before the general is able to unleash his final swing, he stops after hearing Doroka shouting for everyone to stop. Adonis urges her to kill him quickly, but Doroka asks him to stop the fighting and make up. As Doroka says this, she tells him she will stop her spell if he promises to stop fighting. Adonis urges Doroka to kill the general quickly, but is stopped by Yamato, breaking the spell and beating Doroka to a pulp. He shouts out what the witches have done to them, and continues to make an example out of Doroka. Unfazed from his attack, Doroka reminds him that they killed countless witches for no reason. She attempts to ask him again to end the fighting, but it seems too late. Yamato remembers the oath he took, vowing to kill the witches and return home to his sister. He tells himself he won't be swayed by a simple mind-controlling spell. Contrary to his hopes, Yamato is captivated by her spell, and he tells her he'll obey her until he dies. Before he can finish all of his remarks, Adonis slices his face in half, causing Doroka to freak out. He tells her all he has is revenge and asks her to come with him on his quest to destroy humanity. The king learns of the events and tells the person reporting to him that they better take care of the witches for good this time. The king rejoices at the thought of all the witches dying, making him seem to be a crazy person. He seems to have gone mad from his obsession with the witches, so he goes and embraces his wife. He shouts out in joy that he finally killed the witches and is petted like a dog by the queen, telling him he did good. She uses a love spell to make him dance over to the ledge of the palace. We learn that the queen has been telling the king what to do this entire time as he climbs up the wall of the palace ready to jump to his death. The soldier urges him not to jump, but is interrupted by the king announcing everything he did was because he loved his wife, the queen. She tells him to die, and he jumps to his death being pierced by the top of a roof. The queen then uses her spell on the soldier who attempted to stop the king. Acting as if it was an accident, the soldier reports that the emperor fell to his death. The queen calls the man from before who expressed his desire to hunt witches during the meeting. We learn the queen is named Dorothea, and she is the witch of unknown. The queen looks at a quill similar to Adonis's and wishes for someone to come back, not revealing who. Adonis makes another attempt at convincing Doroka to join him in his revenge on the humans. She declines without giving it much thought, enraging Adonis. He takes his anger out by going on a rampage, killing all of the remaining soldiers. Unable to move thanks to Doroka's spell, they are slaughtered before her, easily making it seem like she is helping him. Eventually, she is forced to use her love spell on Adonis, but is stopped when Adonis tells her he will kill her if she tries. Doroka shouts at Adonis to please stop the fighting, and that she has seen enough to know it only brings sadness, but he doesn't listen to her. After killing all the remaining soldiers, Adonis gouges the eyes of Yamato out and uses a spell on him. Ridan is left in a chaos, unsure whether they survived or were defeated after losing all communication with Yamato. The scientist approaches and watches the screen display Yamato telling them they have won and that all of the witches have been killed. Adonis, disguised as Yamato, tells them he won the battle and that he doesn't need any further assistance. After successfully tricking the Empire, he grabs Doroka and tells her she will come with him for the better of his plans. Ophelia, with her last breath, teleports Adonis and Doroka off the planet and wishes for them to succeed.